Good evening, folks. Welcome back to our third video for Chapter 10, the title of which is Sex, It Happens. So let's continue learning about sexual reproduction and what makes us what we are. Our very first thing we did with the chapters is recognizing we have certain problems we want to learn more about. Right now, what we're closest to getting a start of understanding for are these two. Why do we look and act the way we do? And how are babies born unique? Before the end of this video, we will really cover more than we ever have for how babies are born unique, how you make babies, how we form gametes, and it should give us a better understanding also of problem one, which is why do we look and act the way we do? So let's begin. This starts with slide 11. Slide 11 has the definition genotype. It's the genes an organism contains. Example, if you were using it in a sentence, would be Bill's genotype included homozygous dominant, big T, or 2T dominant alleles. So a genotype is whenever you talk about the genes or alleles someone inherits. Like in Bill's example, he said the genotype was big T. If you're saying that, or if you were to say down here at these chromosomes, if you describe what the chromosome someone inherited as containing a dominant G allele, you'd be talking about the genes the organism contains, and you'd be talking about the genotype. For this slide, I want you to draw the chromosomes here, and then describe the picture using your best understanding of the word gene, allele, chromosome, and genotype. Again, and genotype is here. It's the genes you contain, and you can see on each chromosome there are 4 genes along these chromosomes. And both chromosomes are different, but they do contain the same genes. Both chromosomes contain the G, R, S, and T genes. However, each chromosome does in fact contain different alleles. This chromosome contains 3 dominant genes here and a recessive here. Just remember though that different versions are alleles. So describe the picture just like you basically heard me do, but using good vocabulary. And you can always in your notebook draw lines to what each thing is. You can, just like you can see the line is drawn to an allele here, the dominant and recessive, you can do the same. Let's keep moving. The next slide is phenotype. The phenotype is the way an organism looks and behaves. So anytime you're describing an organism's appearance, you're describing their phenotype. Genotype, as in this picture, is when you inherit certain genes or gene versions, like these 2 dominant alleles. But the phenotype is just what it looks like. It's a darker butterfly, so we say dark. This butterfly, its genotype is 2 recessive alleles, 2 recessive A alleles. But its phenotype is just how it looks, which is white. Here we have phenotype, blue eyes, phenotype, brown eyes. It's the way an organism looks and behaves. In your notebook, describe a phenotype you could fall in love with. So, I want you to think about, what do you look for in a person that you'd consider going on a date for, or asking them out? What would you look for in that person? Personality? Maybe even appearance. You can be as superficial or deep as you want in this, but have fun with it. But remember, the idea is to learn the word phenotype, which is the way someone looks and acts. Slide 13 was practice problems we've done in class. And so if you weren't here on the day you missed, just know that we were working on chromosome inheritance and the alleles found on them. And you can always copy this into your notebook if you missed that day, just to get some practice and try to get some extra participation points. 15 we skip as well. 16 brings us to a in-class or quiz type question. If you have any questions about slide 16, just contact me, we'll talk about it, and I'll make sure you get what you need if you need it, okay? Slide 17. Slide 17 is about heredity, and it's reminding us that each parent, whether you're a flower or a person, provides half of their DNA or chromosomes, and this is due to meiosis. So what we really want to learn is what is going on with meiosis. How does meiosis make sure that our sperm or our egg only gets half of our usual chromosome number? Now, every human being contains a total of 46. But due to meiosis, the sperm and egg only have half that. Sperm and egg only contain 23 out of a person's 46 total. Just like this picture. You can see 23 chromosomes here in this sperm and only 23 chromosomes in this egg. When they fuse, though, they will add up to 46 to make a normal person. Please write and record this as slide 17 in your notes. And move on. Let's go to slide 18. Slide 18 is an activity we do in class. This is the statement of understanding. If you missed the day we did this in class together, or if it was assigned as homework and you still need to get it done, I'll show you how to get there, okay? So first of all, you don't need this worksheet to complete it. You just need to know that you need to have 9 observations, generate a hypothesis, and then produce a model down here below. There's also a video, a YouTube video, showing you how to use this website to complete and get your observations. So the website's here. Let's click on it. Let's see where it takes us. So you just go to animation, go to narrated, and whenever you want to watch it, you just hit play. Simple as that. As you watch it, you just write some observations down. And if you need to watch a video to show you how to do it, it's right here. It says Chapter 10, Statement of Understanding, Segregation. So if you go to my page, YouTube, Joshua Junkermeier, and Chapter 10, Segregation, you can see a tutorial on how to complete the whole activity. All right, let's keep going. At the bottom of this worksheet, you're expected to create a model, a scientific model, that represents what you've learned basically about how gametes receive half of their parents' alleles, or half the chromosome number. You need to draw a visual model of how that happens. And slide 19, if you're still working on that, if you're still trying to get the statement of understanding done. So if you don't have this done, and you do get your observations, you watch the YouTube videos, you figure out how to do it, to draw the model down here, just if you still need to, just pause it on this screen and use this as your guide on how to create it. Your model should show your best understanding of the events. Think of it as your first draft, because in all likelihood you're going to be making a second draft, improving it based on feedback you get. And make sure that your model represents your hypothesis. So whatever you write here in your hypothesis, you can represent it visually as a model down here in the bottom box. So in your notebook, if you don't have the worksheet in your notebook, you'd just be writing on a page, getting all this information down, and then creating your model or your statement of understanding at the bottom. All right. So slide 19 is just reminding us how to make a model. Slide 20 is what we'll use in class to give each other feedback. So when you get into teams, you're going to show them the models you created from this worksheet. And remember, your models are just trying to answer this question of how gametes receive half the alleles or chromosomes. And your teammates are going to use these ideas to give you feedback and make it better, so you can create a second draft that's improved. All right, slide 21. Slide 21 is based on a part of meiosis called the Law of Segregation. But before we talk about meiosis specifically and how it's involved with segregation, let's just think about the word segregation and see if we can understand it better. It says list ideas associated with the term segregation. So I want you to brainstorm and get a list going of different words you think about, or what do you think you can associate with the idea of segregation. Basically, what do you think it means? What are some words that come along or are tagged along with segregation? Next is recognize how you've experienced segregation. So think about a time in your life where you've been separated or isolated and put in your own place separate from other people. Whatever it was, whether it was done at home, sent to your room, or maybe you had a specific class you felt like you were separated from others. Maybe you were assigned a different desk from your friends, whatever it might be. But think of a time where you were segregated. And then lastly, it says observe and interpret image 1. So you got our picture here, right? It says, how do sex chromosomes X and Y experience segregation? So to answer this question, we need to observe it. So let's look at the picture and pause it if you need to. And then let's interpret it. Let's make sense of it. So inside the person, we have cells. And in this case, it's a gentleman. He has X and Y, so it's a guy. So we're looking at a testicular cell, or a cell of the testicle. Now, inside those special cells of the testicle, you can see the X and Y chromosomes are together. They are not segregated. They are together. But when a man makes a sperm, you can see that the sperm contains either X or Y, but not both. How could this be considered segregation? They were once together, and now you can see the sperm only has one or the other, but they're not together. So explain how this picture shows segregation of chromosomes. Good luck. Slide 20. Slide 20 is, again, talking about the law of segregation, but this time we're going to think about it specifically with meiosis, or the process of making sperm and eggs. So what does it mean when sperm and eggs are involved in segregation? Well, firstly, let's write down the definition in this pink box. It says background is when a parent produces a gamete, each gamete can only contain one allele of each gene. So you can't have more than one version of a gene in a sperm or an egg. If that happens, you can end up with a child that has a genetic disorder. Here we have the rest of the definition. It's law of segregation. It says equals a parent's two alleles or versions of a gene. It says a parent's two alleles of a gene separate or segregate from one another to make sperm or an egg. And then below we have some examples to help us think through this. Let's look at example or activity 1 first for this slide. You can see that the cell here, and because this is sperm, it's going to be a testicle cell. Well, this testicle cell contains two versions of the A gene. Now it says the A gene is the muscle gene. So we're talking about muscles here. And you do inherit muscle traits based on the genes you get. So you have the muscle gene, and there's two versions. The A1 version is small muscles, and the A2 version is big muscles. Now, in the testicle cell, the two versions are together inside that cell. The A1 allele for small muscles and the A2 allele for big muscles. Yet, look at this. When the sperm are produced, the sperm can only contain one of those versions, not both. So it says interpret sperm image. So we're looking at this. Interpret means make sense of it, like we were talking about. It says, does it demonstrate law of segregation? Does this picture show these two alleles being separated in the sperm? If it does, explain how, based on your interpretation. Next question says, develop an argument. It says, which A or B on the right here, so we're looking at this new picture here, which A or B above, or sorry, to the right, represents segregation of alleles and chromosomes. So, are the alleles and chromosomes being separated or segregated in the A section or on the B section here? So look at it, interpret it, and think about this, right? And so you got to make an argument. Why do you think A, or why do you think the B side shows the chromosomes and alleles being separated? And you just make one confident statement of which one you think it is, A or B. Just make sure you explain which side is showing segregation, or the separation of chromosomes and alleles. All right, let's keep moving. This is a repeat slide. We may use this in class. This is slide 23, but we're going to go ahead and keep moving. But just keep in mind that it does show one cell with all the chromosomes and alleles together in it. And then we have 4 cells that you could think of these as 4 eggs or 4 sperm, and each one contains half the original number of chromosomes, so instead of 4, now each one only contains 2. And if you could really look closely, you'd see that they don't necessarily have the same chromosome. So different chromosomes and different alleles in each of these. All right, this is slide 24, and this is the definition for meiosis. I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and the next video will pick up on slide 24, so we'll start with slide 24, and we'll talk about it, make sure you understand how to get it, and then we'll work our way to slide 30. All right, good luck, folks.